A strong hold over current affairs is your way to succeed in the UPSC Civil Services examination. Brace yourself and get detailed coverage of relevant news both nationally and internationally. With the monthly current affairs revision program starting from 26th October at 5 p.m. Enroll today and elevate your current affairs knowledge with comprehensive coverage of current affairs compiled through relevant sources such as the Hindu Indian Express, Economic Times, PIB Yojana, and others. Expert support and personalized mentoring. Comprehensive assessment through MCQs and mains-oriented questions.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. India launches National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan 2024 to 2030. Astronomers discovered the first black hole triple system. MOEFCC approved Coastal Zone Management Plan of 10 coastal districts of Kerala. Indian scientists develop model to understand the Equatorial ElectroJet. Odisha commemorates 25 years of resilience since devastating Supercyclone in 1999. Centre for Science and Environment released a report on extended producer responsibility for plastic packaging. In our very first news, India has launched the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan 2024 to 2030, an updated framework aimed at advancing biodiversity conservation, sustainable resource use, and the fair sharing of benefits. This significant launch took place at the 16th Conference of Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity in Colombia. NBSAP provides a framework for biodiversity conservation, enables focus on sustainable use of biological resources, and ensures fair and equitable sharing of benefits derived from them. Now, let's take a closer look at the key highlights of the NBSAP 2024 to 2030. This isn't India's first step in biodiversity planning. Our first National Biodiversity Strategy was developed in 1999. Later, the National Biodiversity Action Plan was adopted in 2008 and was updated in 2014 to align with global Aichi biodiversity targets. The current NBSAP aligns with the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework from 2022, which aims to halt and reverse biodiversity loss by 2030. At the heart of this plan are 23 national biodiversity targets, focused on three main areas: reducing threats to biodiversity, ensuring sustainable resource use, and enhancing implementation tools. So how will this ambitious plan be put into action? The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change serves as the central implementing agency working in collaboration with 22 other ministries and departments at the national level, alongside the National Biodiversity Authority. State and union territory levels are supported by state biodiversity boards and union territory biodiversity councils, while local biodiversity management committees play a crucial role in communities. To make all this work, the NBSAP includes a capacity building program aimed at assessing needs and gaps, identifying target groups and experts, and providing training to enhance knowledge and skills in biodiversity management. On the financial side, resource mobilization is a major pillar. India is recognized as a leader in implementing the Biodiversity Finance Initiative at national level, a global partnership by UNDP and the European Commission to support countries to enhance their financial management of biodiversity and ecosystems. NBSAP encourages private entrepreneurs, business houses, donors, and international agencies to support initiatives like green bonds, green funds, and payments for ecosystem services. This new National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan reflect India's commitment to protecting its rich biodiversity while fostering sustainable development.
In a groundbreaking discovery, astronomers have identified the first ever black hole triple system in our galaxy, challenging long-held beliefs about how black holes form and interact with other celestial bodies. Black hole in binary systems usually pair up with a star, neutron star, or even another black hole, orbiting each other due to gravitational attraction. However, this newly discovered system, V404 Cygni, was originally believed to be a simple binary black hole system. Now, scientists have found that it is actually a rare triple system. Now, let's take a closer look at the V404 Cygni system. At its center is a black hole actively consuming a small star that spirals closely around it every 6.5 days. But what makes this system unique is the discovery of a second star orbiting the black hole at an astonishing distance, completing a full orbit only once every 70,000 years. This configuration is what classifies V404 Cygni as a triple system. Located within our Milky Way galaxy, this system lies approximately 8,000 light-years from Earth. Now, what's the significance of this discovery? The presence of this distant star disrupts traditional theories on black hole formation, specifically challenging the role of supernova explosions, as they should have expelled loosely bound objects from its vicinity. According to these theories, a supernova is a massive explosion that occurs when a star runs out of fuel and collapses. This has led scientists to suggest this black hole is formed through direct collapse, where a star quietly implodes, allowing distant objects to maintain their orbital connections. Now let's talk about black holes. A black hole is a cosmic body of extremely intense gravity. Its boundary, known as the event horizon, marks the point where the escape velocity exceeds the speed of light. And in 2019, the Event Horizon Telescope captured the first ever image of a black hole. This supermassive black hole lies at the center of the galaxy M87, about 55 million light-years from Earth. In summary, this discovery of the V404 Cygni triple system not only opens up new questions about black hole formation, but also adds to our understanding of the fascinating dynamics of cosmic structures in our galaxy and beyond. In a significant move, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has approved the Coastal Zone Management Plans, or CZMPs, for 10 coastal districts of Kerala. This includes districts such as Kasaragod, Kannur, Kozhikode, Malappuram, Thrissur and Ernakulam, among others. So what exactly is a Coastal Zone Management Plan? The CZMP is a strategic framework aimed at managing and regulating human activities in coastal areas. One of the key components of these plans is zoning, which divides coastal areas into different categories, including No Development Zones or NDZ and Coastal Regulation Zones. Coming back, public participation plays a vital role in the CZMP process, as discussions with local communities are essential to consider their opinions and concerns. It's important to note that the approval of the CZMP is a precondition for states to implement the Coastal Regulation Zone Notification 2019 and to benefit from relaxed norms under this regulation. Now, let's take a closer look at the Coastal Regulation Zone. The central government has declared the coastal stretches of the country, including the water areas up to its territorial limits, as CRZ. However, this excludes the islands of Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep, along with the marine areas surrounding these islands. MOEF and CC, under the Environment Protection Act of 1986, issued the first CRZ notification in 1991, and subsequently it has undergone several updates, with the most recent being in 2019. CRZ is further classified into categories. CRZ-1A includes ecologically sensitive areas like mangroves and coral reefs. CRZ-1B covers the intertidal zone between the low tide line and high tide line. CRZ-2 encompasses developed land areas close to the shoreline within existing municipal limits. CRZ-3A pertains to areas with a population density of more than 2,161 people per square kilometer, where up to 50 meters from the high tide line is designated as a no development zone, provided CZMPs are approved. CRZ-3B includes areas with a lower population density, where up to 200 meters from the high tide line is earmarked as NDZ. Finally, CRZ-4 constitutes the water area, which is further classified into CRZ 4th A and CRZ 4th B. This approval of CZMPs for the coastal districts of Kerala is a crucial step towards sustainable coastal management and environmental protection in the region.
The Indian scientists have developed a new model to better understand the Equatorial ElectroJet or EEJ. This model is said to play a crucial role in understanding how EEJ affects orbiting satellites, GNSS-based navigation, positioning systems, and other satellite communication links, as well as electrical power grids. So what exactly is the Equatorial ElectroJet or EEJ? It is essentially a ribbon of intense 100 kA current flowing in Earth's ionosphere or Earth's upper atmosphere at 100 km altitude. EEJ's north-south width is of a few hundred kilometers, that is nearly 600 kilometers. It forms along Earth's magnetic equator where the magnetic field line runs parallel to the surface, creating a dense and intense current in this region of the ionosphere. Moving on, the Equatorial ElectroJet current typically flows eastward during the day but reverses its direction at night, leaving a unique magnetic signature both on the ground and in space. Magnetometers, instruments designed to measure magnetic fields, help in detecting this characteristic magnetic footprint. Now, why is understanding the EEJ so important? For one, the EEJ is known to intensify Earth's geomagnetic field near the equator. However, disruptions in the EEJ can impact power infrastructure and electricity monitoring systems across equatorial regions. Now, let's also take a moment to understand the magnetic equator where the EEJ originates. It is a line of zero magnetic dip where a magnetic needle experiences no dip. Unlike Earth's geographic equator at 0° latitude, the magnetic equator is not fixed but gradually shifts over time. The geographic equator is a great circle around the Earth and it remains fixed at 0° latitude. This new EEJ model developed by Indian scientists marks a significant advancement in space weather research and promises to enhance our satellite communication and power grid reliability near the equator. Odisha marks 25 years of resilience since the devastating supercyclone that struck in 1999. Known as BOB-06, the supercyclone with wind speeds reaching 250 km per hour made landfall near Paradeep in Jagatsinghpur, claiming over 9,000 lives and leaving millions without homes. However, since then, Odisha's cyclone management has undergone a sea change, and in 2013 and 2014, it was lauded as a global example by the United Nations. Back in 1999, disaster response faced significant challenges. Warnings from the IMD were issued, but the storm's severity was underestimated. Additionally, there was a lack of preparedness with insufficient location-specific warnings, limited resources, and a poor communication strategy. Now, let's look at the measures that have contributed to this transformation. At the state level, Odisha established the Odisha State Disaster Management Authority, becoming India's first state to set up a dedicated disaster management agency. This has enabled decentralized disaster response, minimizing bureaucratic delays. Under OSDMA, the state introduced Mission Zero Casualty, which implemented cyclone shelters, rapid response teams, and streamlined protocols aimed at reducing casualties during cyclones and floods. Additionally, Odisha has adopted a community-centered approach. Local volunteers, including members from Gram Panchayats and women's self-help groups, now play a vital role in rescue operations, helping to reduce disaster risk at the community level. On a center level, disaster preparedness has also advanced. In 1999, cloud imagery from the IMD came with considerable delays, but today, these images are available every 15 minutes, allowing for more timely and precise decision-making. Furthermore, the Disaster Management Act of 2005 led to the establishment of the National Disaster Management Authority, which has strengthened India's disaster response framework. Now, let's briefly look at cyclones and their classifications. Cyclones are caused by atmospheric disturbances around a low-pressure area, leading to destructive air circulation. Cyclones are classified as extratropical or temperate cyclones occurring in temperate and high-latitude regions, tropical cyclones occurring between the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer, The IMD uses specific terminology to classify low-pressure systems in the Bay of Bengal. A supercyclone has wind speeds above 221 km per hour. A severe cyclonic storm ranges from 88 to 117 km per hour, and a cyclonic storm ranges from 61 to 88 km per hour. In conclusion, Odisha's resilience and preparedness set a benchmark, transforming a tragic past into a model of effective disaster management.
In our next story, we dive into a critical environmental issue, the global plastic waste crisis, and the steps India is taking to address it through Extended Producer Responsibility or EPR for plastic packaging. Plastic waste is expected to triple worldwide by 2060, and with less than 20% projected to be recycled. EPR has emerged as a key policy approach to tackle this urgent problem. Let's explore what EPR for plastic packaging means and how it's being rolled out in India. EPR was initially introduced under the Plastic Waste Management Rules in 2016. More recently, in 2022, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change notified the Extended Producer Guidelines for plastic packaging in 2022. The guidelines are set to be effective until the fiscal year 2027 to 28. So, who are the main players or polluters in this framework? Producers, importers, brand owners, and manufacturers, collectively known as PIBOs, are at the core. These PIBOs are required to collect back 100% of the plastic packaging they introduce into the market. But how does the EPR regime work? Plastic waste processors or PWPs generate EPR certificates for recycling and disposal, and these certificates are traded with PIBOs or the polluters. To comply with the rules, PIBOs must purchase these certificates from PWPs, which serve as proof of their EPR compliance. But there are some challenges with the current EPR regime. One major issue is that many importers operate without proper monitoring or regulation. Another challenge is differentiating between packaging and non-packaging plastic waste. Additionally, some PWPs have issued fraudulent certificates to PIBOs, undermining the system's integrity. So, what are the recommendations to strengthen this system? The Center for Science and Environment suggests establishing fair EPR pricing, invalidating fake EPR certificates, and including the informal sector within the EPR guidelines, among other steps. Now, let's take a closer look at what EPR really is. At its core, EPR is a policy that makes producers responsible for the entire life cycle of their products, from take back to recycling and final disposal. The key elements of EPR include producer responsibility, waste minimization, a life cycle approach, and the polluter pays principle. EPR policy covers multiple types of waste streams, not just plastic packaging. This includes electronic waste, batteries, hazardous waste, and more. And finally, who helps ensure EPR compliance? Producer Responsibility Organizations or PROs are third-party agencies that assist PIBOs in meeting their EPR obligations. In summary, with plastic waste on the rise, the effectiveness of EPR for plastic packaging will depend on a more transparent system, stronger oversight, and inclusive regulations to close the gaps in the current framework.
As we wrap up today's bulletin, let's have a look at some quick updates. World Cities Day, designated by United Nations General Assembly, is celebrated annually on 31 October. The day serves as an opportunity to promote the international community's interest in global urbanization, push forward cooperation among countries in addressing challenges of urbanization, and contribute to sustainable urban development around the world. WHO and partners activated the Global Health Emergency Corps for the first time in response to a recent Mpox outbreak. WHO founded the GHEC in 2023 after the response to COVID-19 pandemic revealed the need to ensure better coordinated support to countries. Colombia, at the 16th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity, launched Peace with Nature Coalition. The coalition includes countries from 4 continents including Mexico, Sweden, Uganda, and Chile. Israel expects its Iron Beam laser defense system to be operational within 1 year. The Iron Beam aims to intercept and destroy various projectiles with precision using high-powered laser. India, represented by the Directorate of Enforcement, has been included in the Steering Committee of Asset Recovery Interagency Network Asia Pacific. This will enable India to contribute to ARINAP's decision-making and administrative responsibilities, furthering its mission to combat economic crimes. India will assume the presidency of the network and host the annual general meeting in 2026. Aditya L1 mission has recently reported its first science result. The visible emission line coronagraph on board Aditya L1 precisely estimated the onset time of a coronal mass ejection that erupted on the Sun. CMEs can damage satellites in near-Earth space and disrupt radio communication networks on the Earth. Upcoming Durgesh Aranya Zoological Park at Bankhandi in Kangra district, Himachal Pradesh, would become India's first zoo to receive certification from the Indian Green Building Council for its sustainable and eco-friendly initiatives. IGBC, part of the Confederation of Indian Industry, was established in 2001. Indian Army contingent departed for Sijantung, Jakarta, Indonesia to take part in the 9th edition of India-Indonesia Joint Special Forces Exercise Garud Shakti 24. Moreover, the 31st edition of Singapore-India Maritime Bilateral Exercise or SIMBEX was concluded recently at Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. MEITY has announced the launch of the Digital India Service Centre project. Its aim is to bridge the digital divide in rural India by providing citizens with accessible e-governance, financial and commercial services. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, please visit the provided links in the description below.